Thank God it's Monday. Welcome to Business Morning on Channels Television. I'm Ini John Mekwa.
And I'm Ladi Williams. Thank you for joining us. Let's look at what's in the news. The Monetary Policy Committee begins its fourth meeting of the year today to be concluded tomorrow, Tuesday, 27th of July. The MPC is expected to assess the developments in the domestic and external macroeconomic and financial markets since its last meeting in May and provide forward guidance on the timing of a change in monetary policy stance. In May, the MPC voted unanimously to leave its policy rates of 11.50% and other parameters unchanged, although inflation, which is now at 17.75% as of June, is still well ahead of the CBN's medium target of 6 to 9%. The consensus is that the trajectory of the inflation has finally turned the corner.
Well, there are differences in perspectives on inflation. One position is to stress the temporary nature of the committee's step away from the mission of price stability. An opposing view is to argue that a hike is no guarantee of disinflation and would undermine growth by pushing up the cost of credit. Analysts do not expect the committee to make a U-turn from its short-term objective of supporting economic recovery, particularly as growth remains fragile and macroeconomic vulnerabilities persist. As a result, the prediction is that the committee will maintain the status quo on all monetary policy parameters at this meeting, even though the underlying tone of the committee may be neutral, given the still elevated domestic inflationary pressures and imbalances in the external sector.
Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Nigeria has reiterated the resilience, safety and soundness of Nigerian deposit money banks and other financial institutions under its supervision. Speaking with journalists in Abuja over the weekend, the Acting Director, Corporate Communications Department of Bank, Osita Nwanisobi, said the Nigerian banking system had proven to be very sturdy in spite of the global challenges posed by the coronavirus pandemic. He made this clarification in response to certain false and unfounded stories circulating in social media attacking the soundness and safety of some Nigerian banks. He also said the desire of the bank is to prioritize financial inclusion as a measured approach to increase the number of adults included in financial services provided by banks in Nigeria.
Well, we move away from Nigeria now to the global scene. Oil prices were little changed today as investors balance concerns about fuel demand from the spread of COVID-19 variants and floods in China against expectations of tight supplies through the rest of the year. Brent crude futures for September fell by 3 cents to $74.07 a barrel, while U.S. Texas Intermediate crude was at $71.99 a barrel, and that's 9.8 cents. Global oil markets are expected to remain deficit despite a decision by OPEC Plus to raise production through the rest of the year. The prospect of a swift return of Iranian supplies is diminishing as talks to revive a 2015 nuclear deal have been pushed back to August. Meanwhile, the United States is considering cracking down on Iranian oil sales to China as it braces for the possibility that Tehran may not return to nuclear talks or may adopt a harder line whenever it does.
And now to our first conversation. Lekki Seaport is expected to begin operations by the fourth quarter of next year. This is shortly after operations in Calabar Port started. This is expected to boost the country's export and make the business easier and more attractive. But what do the exporters expect? Mr. Adeyemi Adeniji, Chief Executive Officer of Starling Global, the pioneer of bulk export at the Calabar Port, shares his thoughts with us next. Keep it here with us. This is Business Morning.
You're welcome back. The Minister of Transportation, Mr. Rotimi Amechi, has expressed satisfaction with the level of progress recorded on the construction of the Lekki Deep Sea Port project in Lagos and says the construction would be completed by the third quarter of 2022 and commercial operations should commence by the fourth quarter as planned. This should ease the business of exporters such as Mr. Adeyemi Adeniji, whom you saw earlier, is a cocoa exporter and the Chief Executive Officer of Starling Global and Ideal Limited. So let's find out what he thinks about all of this. Good morning. And thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Adeyemi.
I'm okay. Thank you very much for having me this morning. Well, we have different views about the export business from Nigeria. The government is putting a lot of infrastructural developments into it. But we have a lot of issues with the shipping lines. which has always been a very terrible situation. Let me be very particular. In the last 6 months, the shipping lines have been shipping out empty containers from Nigeria because of the coronavirus problems. A container from Asia is about $15,000 because Nigeria is a net importer of, we have a taste for foreign goods. So they've been sending their containers, empty containers, to Asia and quickly bring them back to Nigeria for $50,000. Whereas they abandoned all export banned containers from Nigeria because it's better, better for them to make more money by only sending out empty containers. And that one has impacted on the volume of dollar that is being received in the country. It has negatively impacted.
Yeah, no wonder investment has dropped.
Yeah, it has always been going. Can you look at the rate today? Exchange rate in the black market is about 520, whereas the CBN is talking about 412 or 411. So there is a real problem with the way those people that we give the ports to have managed our ports in the last, because they are foreigners and they don't care what happens to the Nigerian economy.
So you're not even so excited about the Lekki ports?
It's not about ports. It's about the structure. When you give out your ports to be managed by foreigners who doesn't have the interest of your country economy at heart, so what do we expect? It's like throwing a big drop of stone inside the water. You will expect bubbles. So they are here not because they are charity organizations.
Okay.
Yeah, what they are only coming here to do is to make the profit at the expense of Nigerian economy.
Well,
yeah,
but some have described, the situation with non-oil exports in Nigeria as complicated. Can you paint a picture, for us on, how this is?
It's not difficult. The first problem started with concessioning that port to foreigners. They did not invest at all in the last 15 years at the port. We have examples in Netherlands, in Singapore. There are no this type of congestion. Do you know that a ship coming to Nigeria will stay for 40 days on water before it can back? As at as at April this year, export banned containers, about 7,000 boxes, were abandoned at Apapa Port, APMT.
But we have government regulators, we have regulatory agencies who are supposed to ensure that even though these guys are foreign nationals doing business in Nigeria, but they play according to the rules.
Well, it took me to start to write petition to government agencies, to the presidency, before the MPA was directed to step into it. And when they stepped into it, there was some relief. But it was just a temporary relief. It's not supposed to be about Starlink or about me. It's supposed to be about the export business in Nigeria. Today, you have so many other exporters who are crying, but nobody heard their voices. So many exporters are suffering. Some containers are being in the port, perishable items, for more than 100 days.
Wow, it's a long
So what do you
time.
see as a lasting solution?
The lasting solution is for government to be alive to its responsibilities. One, we need to have an action on export. Nigeria doesn't have so many businesses with poverty if we harness all our potentials properly. One, we have what it takes to, why are we exporters of primary commodities in the first place? We are supposed to add value. If we have value, it gives you a better opportunity. Then, two, we need also to have a proper regulation on those that manages our ports, like the APMT, the PTML, the Port and Cargo, all of them. All of them are just taking money from Nigerians. You can imagine when you deliberately create a problem, a crisis at the port, so that people will pay more on demurrages.
But we've had the, e-call-up system now active for some time, and now in Lagos. How effective has that been?
I don't want to talk about e-call-up. I was the first person that went against it. I wrote a letter to MPA, to everybody, that the e-call-up will never work, and it will never work. Because it was not designed primarily from the beginning to suit export. It was only designed for import. They want to clear Apapa. Yes, good job, everybody, thump up for them. But what about the export? That's the most important thing to this country, to the survival of this country as a nation.
What kind of policy would you like to see then?
The policy we want to see is to develop all other ports, like Calabar, like Warri.
Like you did the bulk export from Calabar.
Like Calabar, like Pori and Warri ports, and stem down the insecurity. Because even when we went to Calabar, we have to pay a lot of money. I don't want to mention it on TV, so that we'll be able to put that vessel on that route to Calabar and come back without any security challenges.
That's on the road?
On the water.
On the water.
Because there are a lot of pirates, there are a lot of so many things.
Still that issue of piracy on the water.
It's very, very serious.
So it's a lot of, from what you're saying now, we're not so excited about the Lekki port because the system running in the port and the connecting factors, like you just mentioned, the issue of insecurity now, these are deterrents.
These are the real problems.
Exports.
If you like, let us build 20 ports, new 20 ports. As long as we don't stem down all these terrible people that are managing the port, we are going to be jumping on and falling on the same spot.
All right, so you deal in cocoa, you export a lot of cocoa, but you also mentioned, why are we into exporting primary products, raw materials? Why are we not adding value to these things before, especially something like cocoa? It has a whole lot of international valued products.
Well, why don't you mention cashew? That doesn't even really need so much to export. The Nigerian system is a law. That's one of those things that the National Assembly should look at. You cannot import what you produce. For cashew, for example, cashew grows from Nigeria to Ivory Coast, in that order, Republic of Benin, then down to Guinea-Bissau, to Gambia, to Senegal, before you go to Tanzania, every month. For example, Nigeria starts in January, February. Then you have Ivory Coast in March, April. Then you have Guinea-Bissau in July, Tanzania in December. But there's a law in Nigeria. You cannot import these products from these countries because we produce cashew in Nigeria. So if you stock cashew, you are not going to be competitive with the other countries. For India and Vietnam, they export these raw materials from Nigeria. I'm talking about cashew now. Every 4 tons of cashew, you only get 1 ton of kernel, which is the edible one. The other 3 tons, that means 75% of what we export is waste. You put your money to export waste to Vietnam, they will produce it, add value to it, send them to very close places like Europe and America that are closer to us than to them, and they will still make profit. So the government needs to look at the structures and the laws. We've been writing to them, what can we do? Can we really change the narrative as a nation, as a people? The population is growing, and we are not looking at the future of the next generation. Because we can't continuously be perpetual supplier of raw materials to developed nations.
But what's the private sector doing if the government says, they're
There's
overwhelmed
some kind of
and all that?
PPP arrangements.
You have
Where the government needs to create an enabling environment. Where is the electricity, for example? We don't have it. Where is the law that makes it easier for you to import cashew from Guinea-Bissau into Nigeria without paying as if you are importing textile materials? Look, we import bags, jute bags, that can grow in Kwara State. The fiber that is used to produce GTBags can grow in Kwara State, can grow in Osun State, can grow in Oyo State. But the government doesn't. What are they doing? We just put high tariff on bags from Bangladesh. Today, when you are looking at packaging of cocoa from Nigeria today, it is at very high prices because of the exchange rate, because it is even difficult for you to import.
But what do you think the private sector can actually do, at this point, since they're not getting that much help, from the government? What do you think the private sector can do to help the situation?
Well, everybody's in the business to make profit. So when you don't have an enabling environment, what can you do? Nothing. So everybody's just waiting and hoping and praying that one day we have a system that will work. As it is today, it's not working.
But how much of this is a problem from the consumers, Nigerians? I mean, one of the things you said earlier in this conversation was the taste of Nigerians. Nigerians have a taste, for imported products. How much of it is a problem from there? Perhaps we should also see how we can solve the problem from that end.
Well, the fact of it is, it's difficult for you to change people. Look at me, look at the cloth I'm wearing, look at the one you are wearing.
You're more Nigerian.
I'm very sure they are not made in Nigeria.
Well, mine is actually made in Nigeria.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And the fabrics?
Okay, fabric, not necessary.
If we go to party today, you see people wearing Ankara. Those Ankara are manufactured from China. They're not from Nigeria.
Is it because of the quality, or just people want to feel that I'm wearing something imported?
Maybe, maybe not. The first problem is we need to change our orientation. We need to develop the taste of what we produce in Nigeria. And that's one of the things that I like the current president saying, that we should. They only need to act what they are talking. That, look, we need Nigerians to only produce what we can eat. And I think that is one way to start to look at it. Why do we all need to import toothpaste from any part of the world? Why do we need to import long reach before you can brush your teeth, so that all those ones, when we have all the structures here that can do it, is the government needs to have a proper regulation. How are we going to get there? The immediate term, immediate plan, medium-term plan, and a long-term plan to make sure that we exit from exporting primary products to developed nations. And that's why they will never, and the fact of it is, we have what it takes here to develop, to grow very quickly. And don't forget the other side of it. Foreigners, Oyinbos, Americans, Europeans, the West, they would never want us to stop being perpetual supply of raw materials.
Yeah, because
so
they make a lot of money from us.
So pull ourselves out of it.
If we don't help ourselves, we don't expect anybody to
help us.
So that is the area the government, a serious-minded government, should start looking at.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Adeyemi. Mr. Adeyemi Adeniji is the CEO of Starling Global and Ideal Limited, a major cocoa exporter in Nigeria. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning.
Thank you.
So we'll take a break now, and Nigeria is set to launch its digital currency, yes, by the 1st of October, one way to celebrate the independence. How expectant are the players in the digital space? What are the possible impacts? Let's talk about that after the break. It's Business Morning on Channels Television.
Welcome back. Now to our next conversation. The Central Bank of Nigeria says that the country's digital currency will be launched on October 1st. And this after the regulator had been conducting research towards the launch of digital currencies since 2017. Nigeria is not the only country on this project. And like in other countries, the CBN had banned cryptocurrency transactions by banks, and some other countries have hinted on tightened regulation on cryptocurrency. But what will this digital currency mean to Nigeria? Senator Ohaya, President Stakeholders in Blockchain Technology Association of Nigeria, joins us now. Great to have you on the program. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so I don't know what it's going to be called. Maybe Naira coin, E-Naira, whatever it is. But paint a picture. How is this actually going to work? Is this going to complement, the naira, or do we see maybe the e-currency actually taking over at some point?
Or just as an investment?
Exactly.
All right. When it comes to payments and the general financial system in the country, you find that the CBN has made quite a lot of efforts in ensuring that Nigeria's payments and financial service system is quite competitive if you look at it from the global angle. And that, I have to commend the CBN from the regulatory policy perspective. The CBN has been trying to ensure that Nigerians can have very globally competitive payment systems. Now, the picture of e-Naira, where did that start from? A lot of people were shocked that the CBN has said as early as October 1, it will be able to launch the pilot scheme. And when did they start? So the thing is, like every other country out there when it comes to the emergence or development of central bank digital currencies, the idea is this. First, there seems to be lower pressure on the use of cash. A lot of people are using electronic means of payments increasingly. Secondly, there's the idea that users or people generally now seem to also be embracing private electronic currencies or digital currencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all of that. And that has its own risk and threats as far as the financial system is concerned. And then there's the issue of also enabling a system whereby you don't just have the financial institutions intermediating between the central bank and the users, the customers. Over the years, people are now looking at the situation where we could remove the intermediaries and have the central bank bank Nigerians or citizens directly. Yeah. And so the idea of central bank digital currency, if you look at it from a defensive angle, it is to ensure that the central bank is in control of the financial system, right, in a manner that it can control its monetary policy effectively, right, its fiscal policy effectively. If it doesn't take that charge, it might be opening itself to the risk and right, vulnerabilities and all the vagaries that comes with adoption of, But I'm
curious, how do you think the wallets will actually work? Yes. Because, we have, Bitcoin wallets and Ethereum wallets. So, with this central bank digital currency, do we expect to have wallets just like it is with Bitcoin? And should we expect airdrops?
All right. Well, I wouldn't be able to speak for the central bank, right, but I was privileged to be part of those stakeholders who were invited by the technical working committee of the central bank digital currency in Nigeria to participate in a stakeholder engagement in my capacity as the president of CBAN. And I listened to the head of the IT at central bank present what ideas the central bank has as far as the e-Naira is concerned. And it was pretty interesting. First, the idea of the e-Naira is to enable central bank drive certain policies. Policies around remittances. They're looking at more efficiency around that area. Policy around cross-border transactions as well. Policies around tax allocation or tax management, right? And then, of course, generally improving the payment systems, right? Now, how does that going to work? The technology part, that's the issue now. And according to the ICT head, in terms of technology, the central bank is actually looking at the blockchain, not just any database technology, but blockchain. And it has said that this is based on the design, it thinks is best for the e-Naira. Now, since it's going to be blockchain, then there has to be wallets. And if you look at other central banks, what they have been looking at is, hey, there are two types of central bank digital currencies. Which one should we go for? So there's the retail CBDC, which allows that relationship directly from the central bank to the citizens. And then there's the wholesale CBDC, which allows the banks and the financial institutions to play that intermediating role between the central bank and the citizens. So the first thing that any central bank thinks about is which one should we go for? For Nigeria, from what we found out from the stakeholders' engagements, it's neither here nor there. It's an hybrid system. So they have said, hey, we're adopting an hybrid system whereby the banks, especially commercial banks, we don't want to remove them from this banking and financial services relationship. Because if you look at the idea or the importance of liquidity that the bank depositors provide, you want to be sure that you are not removing the deposit banks from that relationship. Otherwise, there will be more risk.
That's actually...
Yes, so that's the hybrid system.
Yeah.
So it's an hybrid system.
Right.
So you allow the financial institutions play their role. At the same time, the retailers, retail citizens are able to also participate in a more open, transparent, faster, more cost-effective.
So who are the targets here? Because I like to look at reality.
Yes.
I mean, let's get away from all the, the paperwork and the proposals, and I like to look at the reality. When we talk of e-payments, financial inclusion, already we have, we're not doing as much as some other African countries because of access. Now this seems more sophisticated than, the normal e-payment systems that we have. So what is the essence of this? Who are the targets? What do we hope to achieve? Or do we just want to do it to compete with cryptocurrency?
How do we get the grassroots to also participate?
Do you understand? And majority of us are the grassroots. So,
that's a good question. And a lot of people have been wondering about that, including some of the stakeholders at the last engagement with the CBN. This more like dropped from the sky for many people.
Right.
And so there are many questions out there. That's in terms of why do we need this right now? I think that the CBN did not start getting into this now. I think it started in 2017.
Yeah, they said the research started in 2017.
In 2017. Yeah. If it started in 2017, coincidentally or, curiously, it was also in 2017 the CBN got involved in this cryptocurrency activity. It was in 2017, January precisely, the CBN said, hey, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others are not legal tender.
Oh, yes,
stay clear of it. Yeah. That was it. So
and then now that the banks cannot...
So, yes, so it's an interesting coincidence that at the same time that the CBN went into research into CBDC, it's the same time that that warning came. Oh, all right? So perhaps, maybe the CBN hasn't said anything about this, but it's not going to be strange if it is so, because if you go to other countries, Cambodia, for instance, which now has its own digital currency, Real, Cambodia, they came out outrightly and said, hey, we don't understand this cryptocurrency stuff. And if we allow it to keep getting bigger while we're here, we might just run our financial system into some very, very bad situation.
So in order to put up what they will understand, they had this.
Exactly.
So I think the CBN has to tell us, because a lot of Nigerians are involved in cryptocurrency as investment, as a source of income. So is this just supposed to distract people from that? Or are you giving us an alternative to what cryptocurrency or Bitcoin and all of that? I mean, even when the banks are banned, people still go into it. They do peer-to-peer and things like that. So, what are we doing with this?
One of the most interesting things about the adoption of blockchain technology across the world is that we find that the peculiarities or experiences of each country come to play. So you find, for instance, if you go to places like China, China's peculiarities, and it's all about control. They want control. So Bitcoin, get out of the room. Hey, get out of the room. They want all the control.
Right.
Right? Now, if you go to places like Jamaica, Jamaica is not all about control. They are more citizen focused. And so, how can we open up the financial system in a way that there can be new players in the system and also deepen financial inclusion? So countries like Jamaica, Cambodia, they're on that table. Theirs is not about government control and how you want to, censor anyone. It's basically about, hey, this money we call the legal tender is not getting out there. because of this way the system works, the banking system with its KYC and AML issues, you know, up to 20, just about 22% of citizens in Cambodia.
China is about control. Jamaica is about getting. What is Nigeria about? I mean, you were at the stakeholders meeting. You're expected to have answers. You should have asked these questions. We need to know.
Now, when it comes to Nigeria, right? From what we see, I think the central bank is concerned about the continued adoption of cryptocurrencies in Nigeria. I mean, it's all over the place, right? And it's getting bigger. Even after the ban, so-called ban, in quotes, the restriction, right, which was released by the central bank in February, guess what? It has gone even bigger. So people are not stopping in any way. It's all about, I think it's all about how can we defend the system and provide an alternative in a way that all those, I mean, look at our remittances, right? I think one of the concerns the CBN had was remittances. It looks like remittances are now going through other corridors, apart, I mean, away from the central banking system. And it could be Bitcoin doing all that. It could be Ethereum.
All right, Senator, let's just, I want you to look into your crystal ball. See the e-Naira, gets launched, everybody's using it, other countries start, using their own digital currencies. What happens to Bitcoin?
All right, crystal ball. All right. So this is it. If we understand that one of the main purposes for which e-Naira or CBDCs have been introduced in the first place is because of the attack, quote and unquote, from private currencies like Bitcoin. My crystal ball tells me that all over the world where we have CBDC in focus by the central banks, we should not expect very friendly regulation when it comes to adoption of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, so that there will be no competition. I mean, it's almost natural that you cannot create a competitor for your own system, your own product, right? And I think that's the way China has been looking at it. But that would be the wrong way about it, if you ask me. Because if you go to places like the US, where they are also having this conversation, the US is very concerned about the potentials of cryptocurrencies themselves as crypto assets, not as currency. And so if you go to the US, there's, unlike here, a lot of focus is usually from the SECN, the Securities and Exchange Commission. Why? Because Bitcoin, they are essentially assets, not really currencies.
Digital gold.
So I mean, it shouldn't be a competition to e-Naira then.
Yes,
because I think one of the focus of the CBN is to have the project as a legal tender.
Exactly, as a legal tender. So it shouldn't be a competition. So what we should be seeing, or I expect that we see, is that the federal government is going to take a more comprehensive look at this and bring all the financial regulators to the table, including the stakeholders, of course, and say, all right, as far as cryptocurrencies are concerned, the Bitcoin, all of them, they are not really money, right? How about we have a conversation with the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission? 2020, September, the Securities and Exchange Commission came up and said, we believe that cryptocurrencies are digital innovations, financial innovations.
The Vice President has made statements, to give it a chance.
So what I expect is that as Nigerians embrace e-Naira for the purpose of payments, cross-border transactions, remittances, and all of that, I also expect that the conversation on the better regulatory approach to cryptocurrency adoption will also be going on by the sides, especially one that is championed by this SEC, not the central bank. If you go all across
as assets,
not as money, all right? So that's it.
Digital gold.
Digital gold.
Well, quite an interesting conversation. I will be looking at the 1st of October to see the launch.
We're all looking forward to it.
e-Naira, you having e-Naira, I having e-Naira. That would be quite interesting.
You know what I'm saying. Well, thank you so much, Senator, for joining us this morning and for sharing your thoughts with us and giving us some tips from the stakeholders meeting that we had.
Always a pleasure.
In the Central Bank. So we'll move over to the markets now, the opening call, and Will Ebong is here, but we're starting off with the currency market. Will, what transpired last week? How much is the Naira now?
Good morning, Nini. Before we jump into that, I'm just going to say that from the conversations you just had about the e-Naira and the MPC going, I'm hoping for a Goldilocks effect here where the economy is not too hot or too cold for investors. And
That's your concern, right?
That's my concern right now. And the MPC today today and Tuesday, tomorrow, where the CBN will be deciding on the monetary policy parameters for the rest of the third quarter. And with inflation tapering statistically, some analysts project that the CBN is going to take a dovish stance and retain all policy parameters at current levels, and there's likely going to be no change, especially for the equities markets where their cost of capital will remain unchanged. But let's just jump right into it. Last week, we saw that the foreign exchange market observed a 3-day trading instead of 5 days due to the 2-day Muslim festive holiday on Tuesday and Wednesday. The sports, forwards, and futures for the week ended July 23rd July 23 had a total turnover of $454.79 million. It was down by 40.72% compared to the total figure reported in the previous week. The decline of almost 50% in the FX spot was massively contributed to the drop in the total turnover. This led to the value of transactions dropping in the I&E window from $650.18 million traded in the previous week to stand at $327.53 million. It was down by 49.86%. Similarly, at the NAFEX window, the Naira fell marginally against the dollar by 0.04%. We saw a 17 kobo drop in value to 411 Naira 24 kobo to a dollar. Well, to know about what happened there, but get a summary of the activities, we have Bosun Obembe as a fixed income dealer at Access Bank. Good morning, Bosun.
Good morning, Will. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you. Tell us, give more insights about what's happening. Give us a summary of what transpired in the Forex market last week.
So at the Forex market last week, so what we saw, CBN continued their intervention in the market. So the state, so the FPI, they sustained it. On Monday, they sold about 25 million to FPI. The same thing applies on Friday. Also, the fund that they can get for PTA and for school fees and medicals, they continue selling that as well. While on Friday, we saw them conducting the bi-weekly retail auction. The result is going to come out this week. Based on what we saw, CBN allow banks to actually bid more at the auction. So which shows the capacity of CBN to actually continue to sustain the intervention. Thankfully, you can see the result has been going up as well. So we expect a result this week, which will actually bring in more dollar for the market, right?
Oh, that's great to know. But before you go, tell us what's your outlook for the fixed income market. We've seen that rates have been dropping a lot in that space. Just tell us what's your outlook and what's going to happen to probably change that.
So for the outlook for the fixed income, this week we have a TB auction happening on Wednesday. Though if you look at the trend, we've been seeing yield compressing both on the bond space and the TB space. At the last NTB auction, on the long end, yield compressed by 73 basis points. But the volume on offer this time around is twice what was sold the last time. So I expect rate to actually come down as well, but not as high as the 73 basis point decline we saw at the last auction. With the fact payment on Thursday as well. So we feel some buying sentiment, even though most investors are cherry picking. So I expect rates to keep going down and expect the auction to be actually oversubscribed as well.
Thank you so much, Bosun, for coming on the show. That was Bosun Obembe, fixed income dealer at Access Bank. Now to the equities market, we saw that there was a shortened trading week, which they experienced as well due to the public holidays. The equities market closed at for the week at 0.90%. That 1.90%. That was a very large uptake for the market after closing bearish for the last 2 weeks. And we saw that the equity cap is now at the 20 20 trillion naira mark, and we see that shares of Dangote Cement, Total Nigeria boosted this significantly, and year-to-date loss has moderated to about 4% now. That's all we have for today, and we're hoping that the MPC meeting, the decisions are going to be favorable for us investors.
Yeah, we hope so too. We all keep our fingers crossed. Thank you so much, Will. Well, we'll take a break now. When we come back, of course, Business Morning continues. Just stay with us. You're welcome back. We head straight to the crypto market, and I know Ladi is excited today. I mean, we just had a full how many minutes discussion on crypto, and we're looking to the 1st of October when we're going to have our
weekend. An incredible weekend too for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Yeah,
incredible weekend after 6 weeks of going, taking the south side, or that's the north side.
It's been ranging, it got below 30,000, you know, volume still sapping out, but incredibly, it could be because of this Amazon big news that's out there. You know, Amazon is looking at accepting cryptocurrency, but I don't think they've come out with a statement yet, but you know, there are indications because they're actually putting out, you know, positions for, you know, blockchain experts and all of that. So, you know, this and all has boosted the market over the weekend with a couple of cryptocurrencies all up, you know, double digits. And we see Amazon there talking about, you know, looking at payments in cryptocurrency, accepting Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in the market. That has helped, you know, quite a lot with some good news, because it's all about, we've been having bad news back to back for Bitcoin and the crypto market, with concerns about the environment, its impact on the environment and all of that. And we also have Uniswap there delisting 100 tokens from their interface, including indexes. That's one of the world's leading decentralized exchange, Uniswap. They've announced delisting some tokens there. The announcement came July 23rd, emphasizing that tokens had been removed from the app interface only and that protocol remains immutable. The company is also looking at front-end web app portals and to separate these protocols to help their platform. We also have a big week, you know, for Bitcoin, you know, getting to that, almost touching that 40K region there. And let's look at the what's it called, the heat map now. We see it's all green. Bitcoin is in the green, major altcoins, and interestingly, we have some stable coins also in the green this morning. It's looking really good. Most of the traders there are up about 12% this morning on Bitcoin alone. That's a massive push up there. I have the market cap. It's gone back past the $1.3 trillion mark, up 12.47%. 24-hour volume traded in the total crypto market this morning, impressive $97.35 billion. We've been seeing lower volumes at this time in the morning trading day. Bitcoin dominance is there at 47.13%, up 0.12%. Price of Bitcoin, 38,006, up 12% this morning. Looking good. 24-hour volume this morning to $35.45 billion. That's also an uptick right there. And we look at the charts. See that big candle there. Bitcoin touching almost $40,000. Yeah, but we see the RSI is overbought at 80 points this morning. That's huge. And so the MACD is in bullish territory still. So it's looking good. Let's bring in Olumide Additional now, digital market analyst. Hello, Olumide.
Hello, Ladi. This is a green Monday. Yeah.
It's quite green, Olumide. I wasn't expecting this. I don't know if you were.
Yeah, to be honest, very few people were expecting this. In fact, it was a shocker when we saw Bitcoin hitting its monthly high of about 39,000, almost within striking distance of about $40. And if you look at market sentiments right now, it's so bullish. And a lot of people are trying to find the rationality behind this bullish one. But to be honest with you, I think the nearest macro suggests that the world's biggest online company, I'm talking of Amazon, this is a multi-trillion-dollar market value company that is rumored to go into the digital space. So that had already been building momentum. And if you consider the fact that this company has a very big ecosystem when you talk about the internet, we also give credence to these buying pressures. Then the fact that it broke two key resistance level also kind of stunned market pundits. If you consider the fact that it was trading at 33 late Sunday evening, and by the time early hours on Monday, it was already within distance of breaking 40, skipping the 35 and 38. That was really a big shocker. So the narrative is that definitely a big institutional holding capacity was in play, because if you look at the way the coin moved, within the span of 8 hours, it gained about $7,000. And that also suggests to you that the strong hands are also staying on board. And if you look at technical indicators like you rightly mentioned, the fact that it reclaimed its 50-day moving average also triggered technical experts to hold on the assets. And trickling down to other altcoins, we saw that Polkadot, Binance Coin, Dogecoin, Aave, Monero, these are leading altcoins, posted gains within of about 12% within a few hours. That tells you that the market confidence is restoring.
Right.
But this is where the concerns will still remain. The fact that, though, if you look at Twitter's recent earnings, Jack Dorsey spoke about the fact that these assets will play, particularly Bitcoin, will play a big role in the macro blogging platform, taking into account that the company is looking into product and service offerings.
Right.
That also added credence. But you need to understand that it still doesn't change the macros in the long horizon. The crypto regulation is coming on. The most powerful policymaker, financial policymaker, I'm talking of Janet Yellen.
Right.
She had already set up a committee to look at crypto regulation, particularly stable coins. And the fact that we have some staple coins that are showing questionable fundamentals. I'm talking about Tether. If you take the case of Tether, for example, just a quarter of its over $60 billion valuation is backed with fiat currency. So
Okay.
they said the remainder is backed with commercial papers. Still, as we speak, we don't know what commercial papers. So at one point, this will weigh into the market. But right now, the sellers are looking squeezed, Gladys.
Right. And what happened to the shorts this time? I'm sure they got massive liquidations.
Yeah, it was really very sad for these guys, because if you look at one point, over $1.3 billion was liquidated. And if you go deeper, you realize that just a trader lost about $29.3 million on
Massive.
an exchange. And the numbers of traders that were liquidated was standing around 104,000. That tells you that it caught a lot of traders unaware. But you need to look at the positivity around the markets right now. The fact still stays that Bitcoin is becoming mainstream. And surprisingly, we were all waiting for Tesla's earnings just to review whether the company, the most valuable car maker, bought into the pioneer crypto asset. But we all got a shocker. So any positive news from Tesla would definitely take Bitcoin above 40,000.
Okay. All right, Olumide. Thank you so much. Always great to have you.
Yeah, thank you, Latif. Yeah, pleasure.
All right, look at the top order market cap. BNB, Binance Coin up $320, up 6.5%. ADA, Cardano, it's back above the $1.20 range, up 11%. Dogecoin, 22 cents, up 13.79%. And XRP is above 50 cents this morning, up 9.80%. So it is not looking bad this morning.
Yeah, very green, the opposite of Friday look. And I hope we sustain this for the week at least.
That is the million-dollar question. Is this going to be the one that continues the bullish market?
Let's see. Are we going to see another retraction?
Exactly. Who knows? Might revisit 28K again and maybe lower, but who knows?
Yeah, because
this
we haven't done that 10,000 yet.
Oh yes, that's your call is still in the works though, but let's see how that happens.
All right, well, thank you so much for being a part of the show this morning. It's been an interesting 1 hour with you, and don't forget we'll have another spicy business update during Business Incorporated at 1:30 later on today, so please do join us by then. I'm Ini John Mekwa.
And I'm Ladi Williams. Thank you for watching.